with those attendees who are present. And don't heed too much into this page quite yet because I want to tab over to the NorthstarMLS account. Hopefully a view that is very familiar to you, your MLS account. NorthstarMLS is providing you with this member benefit, and we'll first see within the external links the link InstanetForms access to your online account. We call it a single sign-on link because all you have to do is click that link to log directly into your new TransactionDesk account. Single sign-on, no requirements for additional usernames or passwords. Because you were successfully able to log into NorthstarMLS, you will be able to log directly into your InstanetForms or TransactionDesk account. You don't have a TransactionDesk account until you click that link. This is when the account for the first time is set up for you based on your name, your email address, the office that you're involved with, contact information, phone numbers, and so forth. So all of that content within your MLS account is essentially transferred to your TransactionDesk account, copied over to generate that new account. So we will be focusing on that single sign-on link. That's the first link, kind of essential. We'll talk about some essentials here in getting into your TransactionDesk account. At the end of the session, we will discuss some generic login pages. So if there ever is an instance where the MLS is down, there is some generic login pages that you can access through as well. But getting started, we're going to, on the premise that the MLS is a very stable environment, to be able to log into and access single sign-on to your TransactionDesk account. At the end, we'll show some generic login links that you can use to log into TransactionDesk as well. Other integration I want to point out we call a one-click transaction. So I'm in the hot sheets here over left-hand side, middle third of the page, left-hand column, clicking on single family because I want to talk to you a one-click transaction. Is it essential? No, but it's kind of a nice little integration to be able to, one, log into your online account, two, start a transaction file, and three, auto-populate your file with with MLS details. So as I click on this listing number to bring up that details page of that MLS listing, as I scroll down the page a little bit, under that picture, we'll see Instanet is in that available links. This is what, again, we call one-click transaction. If you want to start a new file for this property, click on that Instanet link. Logged into your account, brand new transaction file, auto-filled with that MLS details, address, city, state, zip, legal descriptions, tax IDs, and so forth. So two integrations, one-click transaction, backing up to the home tab, single sign-on, external link, single sign-on to your online account. When you click on that single sign-on for the very first time, a couple things are going to happen. You're going to start through the login process. It's going to tab over. This is what you'll see. The first time that you log in to set up your account for the first time, you're going to go through what we call pre-flight system check because there's no requirements for software downloads. There's no InstanetForms program or TransactionDesk program to install directly on your computer. This is cloud computing. This is web-based applications. So within the web-based applications, there are some requirements, internet requirements. First, probably most important one here is the one pop-up. Allow pop-ups from TransactionDesk. You want to allow pop-ups for save prompts. You want to allow them for calendar icons and messaging throughout TransactionDesk and Authentisign. You're going to allow pop-ups. So I'm going to close this pop-up. Probably the first time you log in, pop-ups will be blocked. So the bottom left corner, or mine has a green check here, you're going to get a red X. And when you get that red X, you're going to be prompted with instructions on how to take corrective action. And that speaks to all of these green check marks. That just means that my computer is set up for cookies and JavaScript and Adobe plugin. And browser support. We do support, for PC, we really do support all browsers. Specifically, we fully support Internet Explorer and Firefox for Windows-based PCs. Chrome is supported as well. If you are familiar with the GoTo training sidebar that we are utilizing during this webinar session, There's a materials page in there, a materials section. We have attached a browser compatibility document to this training. So if you have any questions about browsers and browser compatibility, please access that materials section, browser compatibility document attached in there. Firefox and Internet Explorer fully supported for PC. For Mac, we do support Mac. Safari browser for Mac, laptops, desktops, Safari for iPads, iPad 2s. All of those devices are supported using Safari browser for Mac. The big difference between them is the Adobe plugin. When you are using Internet Explorer and Firefox, those browsers support Adobe Acrobat Reader, and you're going to want to have a fresh installation of Adobe Reader on your computer. When you're using Internet Explorer and Firefox, you're going to have the Adobe-based forms. If you're using Chrome, if you're using Safari, those browsers do not support Adobe Acrobat Reader. So in those instances, you'll be directed to our HTML5-based forms. So same functionality, looks a little bit different, and I think we are going to have a Chrome session later this afternoon to see the differences in the HTML5 as opposed to the Adobe Acrobat. But just feel confident that all of these browsers are supported by InstanetForms and TransactionDesk. If you have questions, please do access that material section of the GoTo Training sidebar and review that compatibility link. Otherwise, we're just going to top right corner, we're going to click on Next, or click here to continue, top right corner, click here to continue. First time you log in, you're going to go through the pre-flight. First time you log in, you're going to go through this terms of service. To just agree to it, agree to the terms of service. Basically, you're agreeing not to resell our product. And if you can agree not to resell, then you'll be fine with accepting that terms of service. Once you go through and agree to the terms of service, you're going to be logged into your TransactionDesk account. The Lite view, by default, the first time that you access will be this Lite view. And I'm speaking to this view because there's two. There's a few more that we can discuss in further webinar sessions, but the predominant two views are the Lite view. I'm in the top third of the page, top left corner, pointing at TransactionDesk Lite. The less is more approach. The most commonly used features of TransactionDesk. Maybe even the beginners, if you want to be a beginner and advanced. The Pro view, the top right corner, same exact account. More is better. More transaction management features, more document, DocBox features, task management features, more online transaction management content. Lite view, less is more. Pro view, more is better. Decide which view best suits your business practice. Move forward with that. If you are a tech junkie and you want every potential feature, go to Pro. If you are just happy to type up some forms and store some documents, Lite might be best. We're starting with Lite. We have additional sessions to talk about Pro and DocBox and break out all of those different webinar sessions. So from here, what we want to just peek at first, forms. Left-hand side of the screen, the forms library view. Clicking on the library view so you can see there are 154 different forms that you have online within your forms library. There are Minnesota forms. In appropriate instances, there are Wisconsin forms. In other instances, there are custom brokerage forms. So depending on your participation, where you're licensed, who you're licensed with, you may see a little bit varying of forms in your forms library. Particularly foldering, you might see additional folders, which we're going to look at in a second. Top third left-hand side, forms. Search for forms. So you can search for forms by unique identifier. You can type in a unique identifier. Name. Other feature of the form name. Folders. Here are all the different foldering options that have been set up. So if you want to just look at listing forms for Minnesota or sale forms or other forms, reduce them down to foldering, and my sense is that these are foldered the same way as they were in previous forms providers that you've worked with, foldered the same way for those consistencies. So we'll just look at buyer through all folders and click on the search magnifying glass there. It's going to return these forms. Any form out of 150, 19 of them had the term buyer in that. So it's going to help me quickly identify which forms I want to use. Mostly here to point out the opportunity to print blank. So as you identify the form, maybe in this case that buyer agency agreement, middle third, right-hand column, that print blank column. It's that first blue icon. Does look like it has a printer on it. You can click there. You can convert your online fillable form to an Adobe Acrobat Reader file so that you can quickly print it to paper. Again, we don't want to spend too much time here, but you can do that. If that's all maybe I'm going to lose some attendees wanting to know how to print a blank form, there you have it. Easily access, print that blank form. To print, raise that print menu, we do access or utilize the right mouse button, or on a Mac, the double click on the name of the form. PC users use the right mouse button. This is actually your chance to use that right mouse button. Clicking there, it's going to yield a menu so you can print that form to paper. You can save it offline as a PDF document on your computer. You can take appropriate actions to not use any of the other features of your TransactionDesk accounts. Otherwise, I'm clicking on Return Forms, top right corner, because that's not really why you're here, right? You want to learn how to manage your sale file. You want to replace that manila folder filled with paper with an online transaction with digital typed up forms, digitally signed documents, retained online for state-required retention periods. So can you access one form, type it up, email, fax, or print? Yes. Is that the most efficient way to use TransactionDesk? No. So that's what we're going to look at now, how to create an entire file, to generate a form packet, to be able to then have that packet work with the sale file, much like you might work with a manila folder today. But anyway, forms, individual forms, type one up, print it, fax it, email it, prepare it to be digitally signed. We'll see how we can access and do that. Clicking back on the home. If you have more questions about this view, please type it in. You know, we can stick around here if it is a majority rule. You could type those into the chat section of the GoToTraining sidebar. Otherwise, really want to move forward and talk about transactions and how you can manage your sale files online. Clicking here on transactions. Transaction icon. We'll quickly look at a file so you can get a sense of the elements of a file, and then we're going to walk through the steps to set up a new one. We're going to take that file and prepare the forms using Authentisign. So we're going to see those steps now. So first thing, we'll just look at the one we created earlier, clicking on that file name. Hopefully this also emphasizes that you can come back to your online file at any time. Add, update, revise, manage, deliver, work with your online transaction. You're just doing it online through the web-based applications, through any internet-enabled device. Features of our transaction file. In the top third of the page, top left corner, transaction, details is the black font there at the top. Just below that, a bunch of tabs. First tab is details, property information, address, city, state, zip. I am going to steal this MLS ID so we could use it as well for our starting our file. City, state, zip, legal description, tax ID. What's the value of this? Why would you want to add any of this detail? It will auto-fill or auto-populate the forms that we attach to this transaction. That is the value of adding this in. Any of these fields required? Not in any way. You don't have to add the detail if you don't find value in it. Otherwise, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. List prices in there, inclusions and exclusions may be a good one. If you're signing up buyers, earnest money, security deposits, financing, comments, dates, all of this content added now, added later, added whenever it becomes identified to auto-populate our forms, reducing redundant data entry. Moving from the Details tab to the Contacts, same idea. Buyers, sellers, cooperating agents, myself, my broker, contacts who are going to be auto-populating our forms, buyers and sellers, cooperating agents, listing brokers, selling brokers. If there are naming requirements in your forms, add them in as contacts. You can add anybody as a contact to your transaction file. You can add any amount of any type of contact. We added 1 buyer. If you had 4, you can add 4. If you have 10, add 10. You're only limited by the forms and your imagination. Otherwise, clicking on, just again, moving left to right, clicking on the Forms tab. Add the forms in packets. Instead of working with 1 form to type it up from scratch, add 3, 4, 10, 12 forms. Auto-populate your forms with that transaction file information, details, dates, contact information. Just do it. I'm going to do it twice. It's a feature so nice, I just always like to try to do it twice. I would like to auto-populate forms. Populate with dates, details, contact information. Absolutely. That's the way detail travels from your file to your forms. You populate your file with the details. You auto-populate your forms with the file details. Also want to point out this phrase. It is an essential phrase. I'll try to continue to emphasize it as we go through this demonstration. I would like to. It is consistent through the Lite view, through the Pro view, through Authentisign, all of the different services that you have, you'll see this phrase, I would like to, every time. That's right, every time and always. You see that phrase, you'll see these triangles. By clicking on these drop-down triangles, you're going to yield these list of values or these menus of choices and options. The primary difference between the Lite view and the Pro view is the number of features in these drop-down menus. Anything that you start in Lite, you can work with in Pro. You add the content, it is available through both views, just more content available in the Pro than in the Lite. That's the only difference. So that's forms. And again, we're going to start a file, so I just want to give you a sense of feel of the details and the elements. Documents. Clicking on the Documents tab. In Lite, it's called Documents. In Pro, it's called DocBox. Because in Lite, it's storage, it's faxing and delivery. You're storing them online, you're emailing them outbound or faxing outbound, you're receiving faxes inbound, and that's the extent of the Lite view. In DocBox, the Pro view, merging features to merge PDFs together, convert non-PDF documents to PDF, use the DocBox print driver and DocBox mobile. So just more features in Pro than in Lite. Lite is great for storage, unlimited online document storage for state-required retention periods for those final signed documents. Faxing options, 4 different types of toll-free faxing. The first being outbound. Any document that I have saved online, I can email or fax outbound. I can include fax back cover sheets in the instance where I'm expecting signatures and pages faxed back to my online account. These are all services within your TranactionDesk account. So document storage and retention. We'll talk about it more as we go through. You can scan and upload documents to your transactions. You're like, well, I don't scan. Isn't scanning, there isn't faxing dead? I scan now. Great. Scan to file, scan to PDF, scan to image, and then upload those files to your online account. Put them online. Access 24 hours a day from any internet connection. Final tab is the History tab. History is going to capture all of the activity that takes place within your transaction file. And the Lite view might not make a ton of sense because you're sitting there going, well, is it the only person who has access to my file, me? Yes and no. You and your sponsoring broker are the only 2 folks who have immediate access to online transaction files. Yourself and your broker. In Lite, those are the only 2. Yourself and your broker. As you move into the Pro view, you can grant participant access to third-party providers like lenders or loan officers, title officers, whomever you might want to add in participation for your clients so they can access participant websites. These are Pro view features. Otherwise, all of the activity is captured, time and date stamped when the activity took place. When did I email that document outbound? When did I upload that document to my file? When did I import the property information? What values changed? Things like that. Every activity. Try to get that out of a manila folder. Every activity, time and date stamped when an action took place. So these are the tabs. These are the elements of a transaction file. Back to transactions. Top third of the page, clicking on the transactions link. Back to our list of files. Come back anytime. Add, update, revise, manage. upload documents, fax outbound documents, so forth. I would like to, there's that phrase again, drop-down triangle. It's going to have a couple features in there. Otherwise, for this, we do want to create a new file, and we do want to click here. I call it the go arrow because as I hover my mouse there, it says go. So I click on the arrow to go to the start page. Take notice of the red font, transaction name. I say take notice because this is what a required field looks like. This is the only required field you will see. So take notice because you won't see it again. So we would just give our file a name. We're going to do a listing perhaps this time. Been doing some buyers, maybe a listing opportunity here. Transaction name, free-form text, so you can name your files exactly how you would like to. And I'm going to call this one Hank. Let me do it the way I like to. Solar Hank. Maybe I should call him Henry. Only his friends call him Hank. And he's a single-family residential listing prospect or something to that effect. Name your files how you like to name your files, or your office requires you to name them. Free-form text so you can be consistent with your naming. I just like to use client name, address. We can update the name as you go through the sale process. Everything from here down is optional. So let me get out of the way there for a second. From here down, the transaction type, importing data, importing from files. We can add content. These gives us options to start adding content to our new file. If we just gave it a name and clicked on Save, we basically have a blank file, which is fine. We can start adding the detail. But we can also start adding optional detail now, like residential listing. Might be the transaction type. Do we want to import data from the MLS or from tax? For a new listing, pull it from tax. Pull your data from tax record. Address, city, state, zip, seller's information, legal descriptions. Get that content, import it from tax into your transaction file. I'll start with listing data because that's what I've got. And it is a residential, but do make sure, and if there is one exception to the rule about these drop-down triangles, you'll see that you'll see the triangle without the I would like to phrase. You will always see it in combination with the I would like to phrase, but there are instances like these where you will see that without the actual phrase. See if I had one saved there. I thought I copied the other one. Bear with me just for a second as I grab that MLS ID. Apologize, thought I had grabbed it, but apparently I had not. So good time for questions. You can type them into that go-to training sidebar. Certainly reviewing those, answering them, working them into the conversation, or we'll hold them till the end to answer them in group there at the end. Otherwise, just grabbing that, apologize for the delay here, just grabbing that MLS ID so that we can pull that property data. So we've actually seen, what, 2 features now to be able to import. We saw the one-click transaction from the MLS to be able to start a new file right from the MLS, but we also now see the opportunity to import from the MLS into our file. So for different opportunities to get that data from point A to point B. Additional features to import more content from an existing file or from a transaction template. I'm a huge proponent of transaction templates so that you can define form sets that you want automatically added to your transaction files. You can add this content to your account, leverage it to reduce the amount of time, energy, and effort it takes you to start these files. Those are in follow-up sessions, but we do have them available as we continue to go forward. Otherwise, bottom right corner, going to save. We're going to add a little bit of content. We're going to manually add the rest. Clicking there on the Save Diskette in the bottom right corner. Couple questions as this starts up. What we have Minnesota and Wisconsin forms on this site? Yes, there is access to both. I would suggest you follow up with NorthstarMLS regarding that, because I think there is some variables dependent on if you are licensed in both Minnesota or Wisconsin. There's going to be some variables to whether or not you are going to see that additional Wisconsin forms library. So if you are as a dual agent, if you're licensed in both, you should have access to both. Follow up with Northstar because both are available within the library. Question, is there a way to add my own blank forms and add them to templates? We do offer custom forms programming services. If you would like to have those forms online and fillable, you need to provide them to us to program and post to your forms library or for the forms library for your office. If you're just uploading documents, they're non-fillable PDFs. If you give them to us, if you provide them to us, we program, post them so that you can include them in your transactions as fillable forms with other fillable templated forms as well. Our transaction file has started. We started our file. We gave it a name. We imported from the MLS. MLS number, address, city, state, zip, year built, property ID, list price. Content has been populated into our new transaction. This is a listing, so it has a list price that came over. We can leave that. We can update it. Just because it populated in, by no means stops us from, changing it. We need one more 7 there, something like that. Lots of 7s. But go through add. Maybe it includes the kitchen appliances and excludes the riding lawnmower. I don't know, just adding some content. Add the content, pardon my mouse for a moment, add the content so that it will autofill the form fields. Details page. We've seen it once, just want to scroll down again so you can see it again. If there was different list dates or expiration dates or features like that, by all means, add them in. Come back at a later time. Update them as they become known. We can save in the bottom right corner here, save diskette. We can save in the top right corner here. We'll also be prompted to save as I click on the Contacts tab. As I move from Details tab to Contacts tab, I will be prompted to save. Pop-up message. Allow pop-ups from TranactionDesk so you'll get those prompts. Follow-up question regarding programmable forms. There typically is. Please do follow up with NorthstarMLS. They may have some incentives for the first 60 or 90 days of the go live for the custom forms programming. So sometimes there are. So please do follow up with NorthstarMLS, and they can advise you about those opportunities. Contacts. These folks have been imported from the MLS. So we did get a bunch of folks coming in. We got some, it looks like this property may have sold. So maybe that also emphasizes not only active properties can be imported, sold, withdrawn, expired, terminated. All these different status types are available. We might have to clean it up just a little bit, but we can do that. So maybe we will take that opportunity to remove some of the folks who are not going to be participating in this transaction. Sorry, guys, but there's that phrase again, middle third, right-hand side of the screen. I would like to add transaction or delete. So we're going to delete those folks out. Again, sorry, nothing personal, but we want to reduce it down to the folks that we're going to be working with, us, our brokers. And our sellers, I would like to now add a transaction contact. Clicking on that go arrow. I want to add my seller or sellers in this case. Scrolling down in this list of contact types, I want to choose seller because my seller is Henry Solar. Does he live in the property? Why not? We'll click there. Populates that with our details page information. What else did I get from Henry? Maybe a cell phone number. Throw a little Austin at you here. And an email address. And I would say, too, just start thinking about how you're adding their names in. Make sure that's going to be consistent. We'll have opportunities to change that as we get into signatures here in just a few more minutes, but start paying some attention to how you're adding those seller and buyers and clients' names. Bottom left-hand corner, add to my contacts. Yes, I do want to add them to my contacts database, because as I slide to the right-hand side, bottom right corner there, clicking on Save, click, two things are going to happen. One, Henry has been added to my transaction file as a seller contact. Separate, but equally as important, if you follow my mouse to the top third, top right-hand side, contacts, you have unlimited storage for prospects and contacts. So we've also saved Henry to our database. So we can insert Henry into outbound email messages, insert him into Authentisign signings, insert him into outbound faxes and other transaction files. We've saved him here. Contact information online, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If we have multiple sellers, husbands and wives, brothers and sisters, parents and children, add them in separately so that each contact will autofill the printed name fields under the signature lines. It's okay if they have the same email address, but you still want to add them in separately because they have separate signature requirements. They have separate fields that they're going to auto-populate, specifically those printed name fields under the signature lines. Add in as many contacts as you would benefit from clicking on Forms tab. Clicking on Forms, because now we want to add the forms to our transaction file. In terms of contacts, real quickly, yes, we have integrations with Microsoft Outlook and Top Producer. Microsoft Outlook is a two-way integration. You can both import contacts into TransactionDesk and you can export contacts out to Outlook. Both import and export. The other integration we have in regards to contacts is with Top Producer. So some contacts, import-export opportunities there, Microsoft Outlook. Forms. We want to add some forms to our transaction. This is really where I believe templates save you time, energy, and effort. Right now we're going to use the I would like to add new form, and click on Go. We're going to access the forms library. We're going to go through and select forms to add to this transaction file. What I'm suggesting is that you can set up templates to automatically associate the set of forms to your new file. Double-clicking on the folder name, that rapid succession, that double-click will expand. I'm going to go to that residential listing, double-click on there so I can start selecting the appropriate forms. Exclusive right to sell seems like a good one. Selecting that one. Press and hold, top center here, middle third, top center of the library. Press and hold the CTRL key. Internet display options. Control key, select. Seller's disclosure. Press and hold, select. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch more. Just do the showing contract, select. Go through, select the forms that you're going to require for this type of transaction. Bottom right corner, add selected forms. So I'm just choosing an abbreviated list. Moving forward, time is of the essence. Please import or add the appropriate forms for your clients and transaction files. These forms have now been added. This is just the first time. You can come back and add more. Some of you are going to be on the total opposite side of my minimalist bell curve, that you're going to want to add any form you could potentially use and either delete or ignore the ones you don't. I'm on the other side. I'm just adding the ones I know I'm going to need, adding additional as they become required. So either way, decide the best way to add forms to your file. I would like to. Now that we've added forms, we have a whole list of features that we can work with these forms. Specific delivery methods. We can email selected forms outbound. We can fax selected forms outbound. And this is internet emailing, internet faxing, email being delivered right from your TransactionDesk account. Faxes being delivered right from your TransactionDesk account. No need to be within 1,000 miles of a fax machine to send an outbound fax. Internet faxing. As you complete these actions, you will get notifications successfully sent, successfully delivered, and so forth. So the one we want to focus on right now is populate forms, selecting that action from the drop-down, clicking on the Go arrow, because we want to auto-populate our forms with details, dates, and contact information. Okay, sounds good to me. Get in that property address, city, state, zip, legal description. Get my seller's name into those fields, my name, my broker's name. Get all that content populating into our fields. Clicking on the form name now to launch the form in Forms Editor. One feature of transaction templates as this form loads up, just want to speak to additional benefit, if you will, of working with templates. You can actually pre-fill your templated forms with standard or customary information, further reducing the amount of time, energy, and effort to actually type up or complete the field. Regarding a question has come in regarding adding potential contacts, 3 or 4 sellers into your transaction file. You know, the only thing that's really going to limit your opportunities there is the form itself. So this is Forms Editor. Predominant column here on the right-hand side with the 4 forms that we have added in so far. Maybe one of the nicer things, as we go through, we can complete one, we go to the next, we click on the next to type up and complete that next form. Until we're actually ready to do that, this little red minus sign in the top left corner of that window will actually shrink it against the right-hand side of the screen so that we can actually see the form that we're working with. Type it up. All the light blue fields here that you see are fillable. Starting at the top with the date, we can choose from the calendar icon. I can click on that icon, pop up to choose directly the date from the, I guess it would be today, date from the field. Pages, we can start populating those numbers as well. Maybe we'll come back after you have all the pages. You can come back and populate those. Going down, you can see the auto-populated feature. Just because it's auto-populated, though, I can still click to activate. I'm in the line 6. Seller is Henry Solar. And you could continue to type or assigns or something to that effect. You could add content to a pre-filled form. You could change it if you like to. But otherwise, maybe, I know this probably isn't allowable, but just to show that these calendar fields, not only could you populate it from the date, but you can also type appropriate content into there. Want to point out, too, that anything that you can copy, I'm up at the lot, I'm going to copy this content to my computer's clipboard, so to speak. I'm going to copy it because there are no restrictions from pasting. So as I go down to line 12, terms, activate that field. When I say activate, I click on it, and you can see the cursor there blinking in the left-hand indent. I can paste into that form field to show that there are no restrictions from copying and pasting. Most fields are going to allow alpha characters, letters, numeric for numbers, special characters. Most fields are going to be formatted in that way. Just scrolling down here, looks like there's some initial and signature requirements listed for lease, is or is not currently, so maybe is not. If not, may or may not, we'll say may. So you go through, complete your form, type up all the required and optional fields. Not to spend too much time here, but want to make sure that you feel comfortable. It's fillable forms. They're the same forms that you've been working on. None of that's different. All of the content is the same. The fillable fields are the same. It's just a different Forms editor. Some additional functions within Forms Editor, top left-hand side of the screen. I'm going to speak to these drop-down menus. Specifically here, File drop-down, add a form, save your changes to this online form, save your form offline as a PDF, print it to paper, all these options. Because as you type up your forms, this is really where things start to diverge for folks. Some of you are going to print to paper. Some of you are going to save it to your hard drive. Some of you want to send outbound via email or fax. So you can send an email message. You can fax these outbound for initials and signatures. Some of you are going to want to start using Authentisign, the digital signature component, and that's where we're going to head now. I'm going to speak to more of these drop-down menus, but you've typed up your forms. You now want to start thinking about how do I want to deliver these forms? Print, email, fax, digital signature. These are the options that you have through TranactionDesk. Format. You can change the format for any of the fillable fields, font, style, color, and size. Casing. You can change it for the fillable fields. You can view, zoom in or zoom out, jump to or go to a particular page. Transaction's a nice one because you can actually add a form right here. If you're looking at your column on the right saying, oops, I forgot that disclosure. Transaction, add new form. Add it to your existing transaction file. Adding from here will actually auto-fill it with your transaction file information. Pretty nice little feature there. Insert, clauses. Like templates, clauses is content that you can add to your file. So if you have standard language provisions that you want to paste into form fields, specific sales situations, you can generate this content. You can then access it and paste those clauses into your forms and contracts. Talk about this a little bit more in follow-up sessions. It's really not hard. You just go up to the top here and click on clauses. You add the clause title and contents. You save the clause to your account. You can then access and insert that clause into your forms and fillable forms. Last one there is help. Online help is tutorial-based. It's screenshots, it's Captivate videos, it's instructions on how to complete specific actions. Live support is that. It's toll-free dialing, it's tech chat, it's email support, it's access to live technical support agents, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday, live support availability, anytime online, tutorial-based. So as I type up my form, as I complete up all the required and optional fields, back to the top third, right-hand side, it's now a plus sign. I click on the plus to expand the window. As I complete typing up one, I can now go to the next form. Clicking on the next form, prompt, pop-up. Allow pop-ups for your saved prompts. Yes, I definitely want to save my changes before I go to that next form to type up that internet display options, to complete this form, to then go to the next form. Go through, type up all of the required and optional fields to prepare these forms for signing. So whether you're printing, emailing, faxing, or as we'll see here in 45 more seconds, Authentisign, you've typed them up, you've prepared them. Now how are you going to deliver? I'm going to exit from Form Editor, top center, top third center of the screen, exiting from Form Editor, back to the Forms section of our transaction file. Just to speak to the other delivery options, I'm in the left-hand side, middle of the screen, left-hand side. I can click on that Forms checkbox to select them all. If I just wanted to deliver a specific form, I can maybe take out the showing contract right now or something to that effect. Again, you're generating these form packets. Decide which ones you want to add together. There's that phrase, I would like to. I can determine, do I want to print selected forms to PDF? This will actually merge them together to make one PDF document out of 3 individual forms. I can fax them outbound using the internet faxing to fax the 3 forms plus a fax back cover sheet, so the recipient can sign and use that fax back cover sheet to return them to me. I can email the selected forms outbound as PDF attachments or as links within an email message. Again, including fax back cover sheets, because these 2 delivery methods are going to require that recipient to put ink signatures on paper pages. What are they going to do? How are they going to get those signed back to you? The fax back cover sheets that you include will allow them to fax back those signed, ratified contracts. And that's what we're going to talk about now. How can they sign now using Authentisign? I'm in the top right corner of the screen, top third, right-hand side. We've typed up our forms. We've talked about different emailing options. We want to use Authentisign. Clicking on Authentisign is going to allow us to prepare these forms for digital signatures. We want to create a new signing, top left corner. Hopefully this emphasizes you can come back to Authentisign and access your in-progress signings, see the progress, update or edit email addresses, resend invitations to participate. You have that type of follow-up and feature set within Authentisign for follow-up. To start a new one, I'm going to create the new signing. Top left corner, create new signing. We're going to import from our saved transaction. We can create a blank, or we can import from a saved transaction. Our transaction, in this case, is Henry Solar. The steps are exactly the same between create a blank and import from a save. So as I click here on continue, the difference, when I'm importing from a transaction, I'm going to be prompted with transaction content. Like this first field, it's already named for me. If I was creating blank, the name field would be blank. So maybe I want to change the name here a little bit to call it the LA and SD, listing agreement and seller's disclosure. Name it how you are going to be able to identify it. So when you are receiving these back or filtering through your signings so that you know specifically which is which. Advanced options, basically you can set an expiration date. If this needs to be signed by a particular day and time, you can set that feature. Moving forward with time is of the essence. This is the most important thing, to give your signing a name and click on Next. Second step is to add your signing participants, yourself, your clients, whomever you would require an ink signature on a paper page. We want to add as a digital signer for the digital page. So absolutely going to add Henry, and for our case, time is of the essence to be able to see the flow through. I'm just going to add one, but I am going to speak to others. Henry is going to be a signer. He's going to be required to click to accept the initial and signature blocks that I plot for him. So he is a signer. Reviewer is an additional participant type. A reviewer is part of the signing process. They can review the contracts and forms that we've typed up. They have no signature requirements. They can see them. They need to accept it or decline it, but they can review and have that type of visible access to the signing and signing process. Carbon copy only simply receives a copy of the final signed document. Everybody who is a participant to the signing receives a copy of the final signed document. So he's going to be a signer. I'm just going to remove myself, again, just for time is of the essence, and I'm going to add these contacts. So if I add myself, then I have to add signature requirements for myself and have to go through the signing process, which you will. And I don't mean to make it sound like that, but for this example, for the time that we have remaining, which is about 12 to 15 minutes, we're going to move forward. Add a new participant. Clicking here just to show if you're creating from blank, or if there are participants that you need who are not in your signing, you could certainly add them in this way. Name, email address, import them from your contacts. If you have them saved there, you can import them into your signings. The signer type is one that's going to take on more importance, because as you define the type of signer, Authentisign is going to take that signer type and try to match it up with pre-plotted signature templates that have been created for your forms and contracts. So make sure if you're adding a seller that you're adding the seller type. If you're adding a buyer, add them in as the buyer type. If you're adding the cooperating agent or your broker, add them in as that signing type. If there are signature requirements on the forms you're importing into your signing, they will be templated and added automatically to those pre-plotted sections. And we'll see that here in a moment. As I cancel out, I just have the one signer for this, and I'm going to click Next to continue. Questions come is, can a person be both a signer and a reviewer? Well, essentially, if you are signing, you are reviewing, because you're going to read the whole document and then click to sign it. The reviewer can read it and review it, but has no signature requirements. They don't have to add an initial or any of those features to the signing. So that's the difference. I've never tested it, but my sense is if you wanted them to be both signing and reviewing, then you could. It seems to be a little bit redundant, but I think that you certainly could. I'm just going to select the one here, exclusive right to sell. I'm going to select that form that I want to prepare now for signatures and initials, and let's just choose the one. Again, you can choose them all. You can select the top checkbox up there by form/document to select everything prompted from our transaction file. I'm just going to select the one and add it in. Not only can you import from your transaction file, you can upload any document that you have saved in your on your computer, your laptop, your desktop, your USB thumb drive. Upload a file. So if you have it saved on a storage device, you can upload that document to your signing. I'm going to do that now, upload a file. I'm just going to choose the same one I've been using here by clicking the add, this little plus sign, clicking there to add a file. I'm going to use this browser tablet compatibility, PDF. But please use Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, image files. They are all supported by Authentisign as I click here on Upload. When you upload file formats, everything's going to be, excuse me, everything's converted to an Authentisign document. So if you upload a Word document, have no fear that that document's going to be updated because it's in Word format. It's going to be converted to an Authentisign format, and there will be no changes will be available to the form. One reason I bring this one up because it gets flagged for showing landscaping rather than portrait pages, and we can check that and make some adjustments to documents we upload by clicking here on the browser, click on the form name. And I bring this one up for two reasons. One, because it's a great compatibility chart. It is also the one that is attached to your go-to training sidebar here. You can access this document and review that browser compatibility. What else can we do here? We can rotate pages, or we can remove pages. So let's rotate a couple. Pages 1 and 2 are actually landscape. They need to be portrait. So I'm going to rotate those pages 90 degrees clockwise. I could go counterclockwise, or I could flip them over, but otherwise I just want to rotate those pages. Click on Rotate Pages. If we had plotted any initials or signatures prior to this, they would be removed. We'd have to replot them. This uploaded document, we don't have to worry about that. So those have been replotted. Do we need to remove any pages? Maybe we'll just remove pages 3 and 4. We're going to delete out pages 3 and 4. We don't need them. They're just non-required pages, or they're already signed or something to that effect. And I'm going to remove or delete those pages. Same thing, if it had signature initial blocks, they would get removed. So we can adjust the formatting of this uploaded document. Rotate pages, remove unnecessary pages, close that window. Yes, I want to close it. So we've adjusted it, we've modified it. The other thing I just want to point out before we go in to prepare our exclusive right to sell, the default system template has been applied. So keep that in mind as we click here on Next, top right corner, blue Next button. And I know I didn't really cover all those other ways to get documents in, but you can import them from Forms Library, you can import documents from your DocBox, all different ways to get the documents that you need to have signed uploaded into Authentisign. We predominantly imported from our transaction file. We then uploaded a document to that file. Thumbnails, left-hand side of the screen, thumbnails. So we can go through each thumbnail to add the required initials and signatures. Navigation tools here. I like the fit width option to zoom in, kind of remove those margins, if you will. Kind of laughed at myself. These templates, it looks like we missed a couple. And if you go through and if you see that if some have been missed, it looks like there's some initial requirements for the seller here that were not plotted. Please let us know. We can adjust them to make sure that they're set up appropriately for your forms and contracts. So I did that a little fast, but I just clicked on the initial. I'm in the right-hand column, drag and drop blocks. I just click and hold to drag and drop that initial block. Same for sellers, and I know which one I'm plotting for because if you follow me to the top, view signing party, Henry's the only one here, but whoever's highlighted, if you will certainly have multiple signing parties in your signings, whoever's highlighted yellow, their initial or signature will be plotted when you drag and drop those features onto the page. Scrolling down, see if there's any more. No. Let's jump down to page 4, it looks like. Here's the signing blocks. So pre-plotted, signature, date stamp, these features are added for those required signers. Licensee, looks like there's a requirement there too. We did not add a listing agent signing type. That's why it wasn't pre-plotted. Had we added a listing agent signer type, that signature would have been added. Go through, verify that the features here are added and accurate and correct. Just to speak to some of these drag and drop blocks, scrolling down, if you have multiple initial fields, you can add initials to multiple pages. Just to show this input sheet, top or bottom of the page, left, center, or right of the page, which signers of your signing or requirements, what documents, even what document pages require those multiple initials, and then initial size, large, medium, or small, depending on how much room you actually have in that space. And you just add those initials. And I'm gonna cancel out. So wherever you would require an ink signature on a paper page, please add a digital signature or initial to the digital page. Once you feel like you've plotted to all the pages and requirements, click Next. Blue Next button, top center, to finalize. We're going to finalize this signing. At this point, we could go back to any step of the wizard. Follow me to the left-hand side, middle third of the page, left-hand side. We can go back to any page. Add more signing participants. Add more forms or documents. Add more signature initial blocks. From this page, we can verify the email address or edit it. If it's wrong, we could make that adjustment. We can customize the email message that's being delivered to our participant. Customize subject line, customize message. We can add those features to our outbound invitation. Once I click on Finalize and Send, big thumbs up, top right corner. Like any good program, it's not going to take your first action as your last final. We want to finalize and send again, because when I click here to finalize and send again, click, a couple things are now going to be locked down, specifically the documents, the digital plotted signature blocks. Those are locked down. We cannot add more forms to this signing. We can create follow-up signings with more documents and more signers and so forth. This signing event, unique signing event, is now generated. I can continue to revise email addresses. I can resend the invitation to participate. I still have access to those features of the signing. Bear with me for a moment. I'm going to pause my screen. I'm going to get logged into that email account so that we can review, go through the process to complete this signing. So you can see those steps. Showing my screen again now. It's always important to start showing again. We've received it. And this is real time. You know, this is not staged by any means. Sometimes I wish they were, but it's not. Real-time delivery, invitation to participate. If I had any way customized the subject line, it would show. When I click on the message to open it, if I had added any message, it would show here. Otherwise, we're going to either click here on the words, click here to begin, or the big blue button, click here to sign. The first time a participant is logging in to participate in a signing, whether it's yourself, whether it's your buyer, seller, cooperating agent, the first time anybody participates in Authentisign signing, you create a profile for yourself. You agree to the terms of service that, yes, you are agreeing to participate in digital signatures. You understand that these are legal and binding, that Authentisign is FHA approved and e-sign compliant, meets all of the federal and state regulations for digital signatures in a transaction. That's what the terms of service goes on to say. You create a profile password for yourself. Only you will know. You will not know the password for your other participants. Only themselves and Authentisign will know what the passwords are. There are password retrieval tools they can use if they have forgotten. Bottom left corner, bottom third, bottom left signature, modify. And if they don't like that font style, they can change it to whatever best represents their handwritten signature or whatever they want to use to represent their digital signature in Authentisign. Select the one, click on Accept, because they will agree that the unique identity and signature of approved or the electronic representation of my signature initials for Authentisign e-signing process. Confirm and accept. So does it have to be exactly like their handwritten signature? No, but it needs to be agreed that this is their electronic representation of their signature. Make their electronic mark, so to speak. We added the blocks in with the naming, first name, last name, or otherwise. When they click to accept, when they click on these blocks to accept them, that style font is going to be added at that point. It's very similar to setting it up. Thumbnails, left-hand column. Navigation tools to zoom in, zoom out, or fit width. Top center, click the Start Signing button to locate and highlight the first signing block. Clicking on that Start Signing, top third of the page, top right corner, Start Signing. Authentisign is going to locate the block and give them the blinky blink so that they, like moths to a flame, will click to accept that. On to the next signing block. pre-plotted. Remember, we didn't add any of these. These were plotted for us by our template. I have 4 remaining. Click yes. I do wish for them to arrange for that at closing. Click to accept. Down to this final signature block, blinking. Let your screen catch up there for a second. There you go. You're caught up. I'm clicking to accept. When we click to accept the initials, it plots the font style and also date stamps. And we'll see that here in a second. Now, you might have said, well, they didn't even get a chance to read the contract. They're not done. By all means, they're done clicking to accept signatures and initials. But if you follow me back to that top right corner, right third, they can still reject the signing. Until they click Done Accept All, they can go back and review. They can reread the entire contract. They can go back to any thumbnail from the left corner to reread, confirm, understand. Because even as they click Done Accept All in that top right corner, like any good program, it's not going to take that first click as the final answer. Are they ready to complete, or do they want to stay and review? Do they want to continue to review the contract to make sure they understand what they're signing off on? When they are ready, then they complete the signing. When they complete the signing, it finalizes that portion. In this case, it's the only portion, so it'll finalize that document. If there were additional signers, if there was a second seller, if it were myself as the listing agent, once the first signing participant completes, that signing will be then delivered to the second signing participant, their invitation to participate. Even if it's husbands and wives at the same email address, set them up separately, so that each goes through the process to authenticate, to click to accept their initial and signature blocks. They can come back in at any time, access, review, see the progress, re-access that Authentisign signing. Authentisign remembers the profile that they've created, that username, which is their email address, that password, which they created for themselves. Back to our signing. So we can see the status. I know we're right at, or maybe even sliding past that hour. We sure are. A couple minutes, but we are right there. About 4 more minutes, and we will be wrapping up here. Progress, authenticated, yes. That's when the terms of service and created the profile, signed, successfully completed all the blocks. First revision, blank. Second revision was the ones that we added the signatures. Final document, clicking there, final document. So you can see what a final document looks like. You can see the font that's been applied, the date stamps that have been added. So you can see that digital document that you can deliver electronically, signed as Adobe Acrobat PDF. It's a very robust PDF. As I scroll down, as I scroll past, scroll back, initial. And it comes down to these keys. See the little key in the initial block? Henry Solar, accepted, time and date stamp, IP address where they were located when they signed. Continue to scroll down here. I want to find one of those signatures real quick to show there's the 2 other initials. Signature, same key, wanted to point out the date stamp. That also is applied. Signature, captured. Electronic document captures all of this content. Back to our InstanetForms. Whoops, keep going to that wrong page. Back to our signing. That's what the document looks like. But is that the only place? No. Top right corner, TransactionDesk Lite, going back to our TransactionDesk account. Integrated, these power of one platform. Because what else has happened? Back to my transaction file. Not only is it saved, that final document saved there in my signing for long-term retention, it's also been delivered directly to my transaction file. You are receiving email notifications throughout this entire signing process. You're getting notified when your participant authenticates, when your participant completes. You get notifications. When the final signed document is rendered, you get a copy of that delivered directly to your transaction file. Talk about the fax back cover sheet so you can see it once. We're really winding down now, about 90 more seconds just to talk about document retention, online, cloud-based, DocBox, part of the faxing service, speaking to, anytime you email a form or document outbound, anytime you send an outbound fax from your account, you're going to be prompted to include a fax back cover sheet. Because in these instances, your recipient can print and use this fax back cover sheet to deliver the paper fax directly to your online account. Well, how does that happen? Well, they print it. They use it as the cover sheet. They dial the toll-free number. Generic toll-free, unique barcode. It is all in the barcode technology. These barcodes literally turn your paper fax machines into scanners, because as you feed your paper fax paper, our receiving fax reads this barcode, converts your paper fax to a PDF, delivers that PDF directly to the online transaction file. Convert paper faxes to PDF. When you receive the PDF documents into your file, you get email notifications that the file has been received. To speak to one more of the faxing services, we call it fax to email, where you start with a paper fax, you deliver to a recipient's email address. Top third of the page, InstanetFax, that link in the top right corner, InstanetFax. As cover sheets go, it's basically exactly the same as the fax cover sheet. You type up an InstanetFax cover sheet. You basically identify an email recipient. You print out the InstanetFax cover sheet. Dial the toll-free number. Our receiving fax reads the barcode, converts your paper fax to PDF, delivers that PDF to your email recipient. It is brandable. You will not see this TransactionDesk branding on your account. You can add your own company branding to this header of your online account. Unlimited online document storage, 4 different types of faxing services. I'm going to go back to our document section. I'm going to re-raise this audio message. I want to be very mindful of everybody's time. Already slid past probably 5 or 6 minutes, so to make sure I'll be very mindful, go through a couple of these content before I start answering questions that are being typed in. I want to make sure that you know of a few locations here. Toll-free support. If you have errors or issues, toll-free 800-668-8768 is our toll-free sales and support. Same number, different options. But if you do have issues, please do contact our support line, and they can best answer those. For follow-up recorded webinar content, youtube.com/Instanet webinars, everything from a 1 to 3 or 5 minute overview tutorial. How do I upload a document? How do I send a fax? Those little 1 minutes are there, all the way up to 60-minute overview sessions. If you think you would more benefit from an office or team size webinar, tungle.me/webinar Greg is our calendar. You can select appropriate days and times to schedule more interactive sessions specifically for the time you have and the content that you want to cover. So they are basically so we can talk and discuss implementation strategies, make sure everyone is getting the highest and best use of their new member benefits. So I'm going to leave this toll-free number, or let's go with the YouTube site, highlighted here as I pause my screen. I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to present. I hope it was a benefit to you.